Hello, St. Thomas. This week's hymn is number 636, How Firm a Foundation. And I love this hymn because the first two stanzas, the general theme of all these Lenten hymns is a movement, a journey, walking through Lent, right? And the first two stanzas set up the proposition that God has already given us everything we need. How firm a foundation is laid for your faith in his excellent word. And that word is the Bible, but it's also Jesus. Jesus is the Word of God, right? Word made flesh. And then verses 3 and 4 talk about hazards we might encounter on this journey. And verse 3, when the fire comes, right? Fiery trials. The flame shall not hurt thee. I only design thy dross to consume and thy gold to refine. This is the passage from the Old Testament prophet. I can't remember which one. Talking about God as a refiner's fire, right? So metals that are impure get burned, and the dross, or the impurities, are melted away, and what's left is the pure gold. And that's what Lent is. It's a refining season, right? To get all those impurities out of us. And I love the end of the last stanza. That soul, though all hell shall endeavor to shake, I'll never, no, never, no, never forsake. The music that this is sung to is a particularly American style from the mid-19th century. It's called shape note singing, and it was invented to try and get musical literacy advanced in schools at a time where musical literacy is very low. And the idea was that if you could reduce the musical notes to a couple of different shapes and teach them the syllable for that shape, like fa, sol, la, do, right? Then people could learn to sing. And sure enough, the notes, if you see this music, are triangles and diamonds and squares and circles. But the landmark book that was published was called The Sacred Harp. You may have heard of sacred harp singing. And it's a very raw, sort of visceral style of singing. Our singing is a little bit more Anglican, a little bit more refined. But the original version is very, it's almost hair raising. It's an electric sound. So I thought I would just play a little clip of that for you and share with you what the original sounds like. You will hear them sort of gather the pitch, and then you will hear them sing it through on the syllables, on the shapes, and then sing the first verse. You'll note they're sitting in a square. This is common for sacred harp singing, and people are doing these sort of hand motions to keep the time, also common. It's a very interesting style, still practiced in a lot of areas. You hear that sort of visceral, aggressive style of singing, um, and it began in the north and then really caught fire in the south. Who knows? We don't have a lot of records about what sort of music was sung at St. Thomas in the early part of the 19th century, but it may very well have been a style that was sung in our own church. And so it's even neater than to hear our choir and choristers. Our choristers are joining us on this one. Sing How Firm a Foundation. So this is what happens. You make the foundation, right? And then the house gets built on top of it. No foundation, house falls apart. And the reason is, you all know a little bit about physics and construction, right? Within a house, there's tension and there's force going in towards the middle, right? And the foundation, the weight of the foundation supports all that force so that it stays. And if there's no foundation, right? So, here's the foundation, right? And as we know from the hymn, is laid for your faith in his excellent word. His excellent word is the foundation. Your faith is the house, right? It's almost like diagramming a sentence.